Greetings, everyone. My name is Alyssa Leiden. I lead the product marketing organization at Sauce Labs. I've been at Sauce for over 6 years now. I may have even met some of you here at some point who are here on the call at a conference. Maybe I gave you a bottle of hot sauce or a t-shirt and talked testing with you. My goal today, as Ryan mentioned, is to kind of build off of some of that, kind of what we're seeing in the industry, some of the data we're seeing there, and how it's really started to influence the way that Sauce Labs thinks about testing, and how we're using that information to help further evolve kind of where we think our platform is today and where we want to take it in the future. There are a lot of market shifts we're seeing right now, whether that's the increased need for digital and providing flawless user experiences, whether it's the need for development teams to continually accelerate release velocity to keep up with demand without sacrificing quality, and really whether it's new and different personas embracing testing with the shift left and shift right trends we're seeing. But at the end of the day, we want to start with this tried and true kind of image that a lot of you have probably seen if you've ever been to a Sauce event or seen a Sauce presentation. This is kind of how we represent the idea of continuous testing. We think it still best demonstrates the way that quality should really be integrated throughout the software delivery pipeline, right? Testing earlier, testing more often, and really using quality as a gatekeeper between each stage of the development cycle to both accelerate release velocity without sacrificing quality or kind of putting that at risk. But as Ryan mentioned, that we've seen some shifts in kind of where the interest is in quality throughout a digital organization. And we really want to get across is this fact that it wasn't that testing was never occurring at these different stages. We're just kind of seeing increases in scale start to happen here. And so we think it's actually great to take this schematic as a starting point and start abstracting out this idea of this is your delivery pipeline as a whole. Let's take a look at the testing pipeline. So think about a testing pipeline as coming in 3 kind of basic steps. There's your development test, where developers are doing actions around, checking code quality, doing, quick unit tests on their local machine, or checking components in isolation. We then move into the integration test phase, which is traditionally where QA has sat, doing those full end-to-end regression tests, maybe some live manual debugging as needed, doing some API, maybe even some security tests here as well. And then finally, you have production tests, which is where you start to see ops, product owners, maybe even marketing folks like myself, starting to dig in and really understand what's the quality of the application, what's the quality of the user experience, and where are there inherent risks that we need to address from a product perspective. So it's, as we continue to kind of dig into this idea of this testing pipeline, what does that actually look like in practice? So again, just another way to kind of represent this idea of the testing pipeline as we're trying to define it. You'll see those 3 areas: development test, integration test, production test. And even though there are a number of tools that have kind of helped orchestrate this pipeline to make it more seamless with source control and CI tools, et cetera, the fact of the matter is that each of these buckets or these groups have been doing their own way of testing for quite a while now, right? This isn't anything new. Each area of the business or of the pipeline has its own kind of motivations, interests, goals that they have with the quality of the code or the apps that they're creating. And so you've seen a proliferation of tools at every stage, whether it's developer-friendly frameworks or static code analysis tools. At the integration test phase, obviously Sauce Labs has a pretty strong foothold in that space, but there are different frameworks that are emerging, and different approaches to quality, such as accessibility, that have really come to the forefront. And then same thing with production. They have their own monitoring tools, their own way to what we call generate quality signal. And so if you think about it, these are now, we used to talk about the silo between dev and QA. But now we're really starting to see a different type of silo occur at each stage in the pipeline as quality becomes more of an immediate kind of concern for digital organizations. And it's this idea of quality silos. Anyone who's ever tried to kind of reach across the aisle into development or into production or into QA and try to unify and try and understand more holistically what the health or the quality of the application is, can understand and see how kind of messy this might get when you start to try and connect these dots together. There comes inefficiencies, communication breakdowns, and really just kind of even more difficulty than they ever imagined when it was these separate silos. So this makes it super difficult for anyone in the organization, no matter where you sit, to really have a complete holistic picture into the health of the applications that you're building for your users. And so what does the ideal, thinking about that from a SaaS perspective, we've really started to evolve kind of our view of what our solution can provide beyond just the execution infrastructure that I'm sure everyone here who's familiar with SaaS on the call has kind of come to understand as our key value prop. You know, we were one of the first vendors in this space to really talk about the need to break down the dev and QA silo. But now we really want to focus, how do we break down these emerging quality silos and unify test signals across the pipeline? So while the point infrastructure solution that we've provided is still a big piece of that, we're really trying to evolve to really unify those signals, create a single source of truth or one platform to kind of speak holistically to the quality of the application. And in order for us to do that, we have to accomplish a number of different things. The first key thing is flexibility. We need to be able to provide a tool that works and meets these different personas where they are, whether it's support for the frameworks of their choice, the languages of their choice, the execution options of their choice, right? So not just cloud execution, but local execution through CI, maybe through your own grid that you might have. This is kind of where our vision is moving towards becoming that more flexible and more ideal platform for helping the right persona run the right test at the right time to allow you to achieve that speed and scale. But then moving beyond the execution and kind of the framework conversation, we also believe that Sauce Labs is best situated in this market to help deliver on that promise of visibility into quality and further optimization. And so if you think about it, if we're able to unify all quality signals into one singular platform and help you and provide those tools to help you understand where you can focus optimization efforts, we want to be able to provide that single complete platform that anyone in your organization can use, whether it's QA, whether it's devs, whether it's leadership, that single holistic view, allowing you to share, collaborate, view results across teams, and really using our rich data insights kind of on the right side of that schematic there to understand where in my quality practice am I doing well, and more importantly, where can I further optimize and continuously improve the quality of my application to ensure that you're delivering that digital confidence to your users. So this is all great, you know, all this high level stuff. This is our vision, kind of where we want to take the platform, but what does that mean for today? How is that translating into where Sauce Labs is currently and where we want to take the product? So this is where our product roadmap comes in, and this is really the meat of the presentation, is where are we focusing our priorities to help move us to that stage or to that space. So there are 4 key areas here that I'm gonna talk about. The first one, which I'm only going to cover on this slide because it's kind of an evergreen priority for us and something we hear from our users time and time again. Our platform is leading in the market because we know that we continue to provide a platform that's always on and available. We cannot deliver on our vision of unified quality signals without ensuring that we have a platform that is stable and instantly scalable for your needs. We are consistently, as a team, our engineering team is working super hard to achieve a 3 nines uptime. This not only helps support you, our customers and users, but also helps us in building that foundation for the other enhancements that I'm going to dive into more in this presentation. Ryan talked about shifting left and shifting right, both very important to us and part of our vision. We actually are focusing first on shifting left to really expanding our key capabilities to really suit the developer. You'll see we have a new feature out in the market right now in a free beta that helps kind of lower that barrier to entry for developers into our platform. And it's kind of the first in what we see to be a number of different features and capabilities that will really, again, help lower that barrier to entry and help developers really access all the benefits of Sauce Labs. So obviously unifying quality signals into the Sauce platform, if that's not apparent yet, that's obviously a big focus for us. And so there's a number of different ways we started unifying solutions that we already have in-house and kind of delivering on some key integrations that have been overdue, but honestly is super exciting to see them finally come to fruition. And some other really cool ways where we're expanding our value prop beyond functional testing, as Ryan mentioned earlier, into other types of testing that serve maybe different personas throughout your organization. And then finally, insights. This is really the key to the future of our platform. It's a key differentiator for us right now that we have the most data out of any other vendor in our space. How are we going to use that data and use our platform to help deliver really actionable insights to help our customers become better testers and deliver better quality experiences to their customers? And we have a really great feature that came out earlier this year that I like to point to during this presentation, which will point to that. So with that, I'm going to focus on actually items 2, 3, and 4 here. So first, let's talk about expanding testing to developers. And this is the introduction of our newest feature called the Sauce Test Runner Toolkit. So Sauce Test Runner Toolkit is essentially a containerized testing solution that simplifies user setup, speeds up test execution time, and supports new open source frameworks for running end-to-end web tests earlier in the pipeline. So if you look at the schematic here on the right, I'll talk you through this. So Sauce Test Runner Toolkit, which is currently in a free beta, you can go to our GitHub page to, our documentation to kind of get the particulars on how to set this up. But from the command line, you are able to use a command to essentially call Sauce, and we'll send you a pre-configured container with browser support in headless Chrome and Firefox. I believe Edge is in there as well. And support for automation tools and testing frameworks. The testing frameworks we support within Test Runner Toolkit today include Cypress, Puppeteer, Playwright, and Test Cafe. So you'll notice kind of moving beyond our traditional support for Selenium, Appium, XUI Test, Espresso, the first two being very QA-centric frameworks. We're now kind of broadening our horizons and saying, you want to run your tests in Cypress? Run your tests in Cypress. We're fine with that. Again, just increasing that flexibility in kind of what frameworks you'd like to use. And then with that container, you're now able to execute tests in 2 different options. You can either run that test locally on your own machine, or as of this week, you can now execute those tests against whatever infrastructure you have within your own CI/CD pipeline. So again, going back to flexibility, giving you different execution options besides just running it in the cloud. Obviously, support for running in the Sauce Labs cloud is next on the roadmap, coming hopefully early next year is the plan. But no matter what, no matter which execution option you choose as a developer, all of those test results that go through Test Runner Toolkit are fed back into the Sauce Labs platform and are now unified with every other test that is run on our platform. And so now developers have the opportunity to take advantage of some of those rich debugging tools that some of you have come to know and love in Sauce Labs, whether that's the videos, the screenshots, extended debugging. All of that information is fed into our insights and analytics dashboards. So really just the first step in taking development test and integration test and trying to unify them together into one holistic view. Like I mentioned before, this is currently in beta. It's totally free. You obviously just need access to a Sauce Labs account in order to view the results of those tests in Sauce. So that's a super exciting development. Lots more to come here in 2021. But really just kind of, again, expanding a true value prop into the development organizations that we currently work with. All right, moving into unifying quality signals. There are 2 big pieces here that I want to call out. And this first one will be of big interest, especially for those users who have been using Sauce for a while now. And that's the fact that we now have RDC, or Real Device Cloud, real device testing functionality currently on Sauce Labs today. Those of you who've been with Sauce long enough to remember, about 5 years ago, we acquired a company who provided real mobile device testing called Test Object. After a massive effort from our engineering teams, we are super thrilled to announce, as of a few months ago, we've now migrated the majority of functionality from the Test Object cloud directly into Sauce Labs. There's no longer a need to have to log into 2 separate interfaces or store those, or have those test results stored in 2 different accounts. You now are able to view those results on a unified experience within Sauce Labs. So features that are now available today include automated testing with Selenium and Appium, live testing, support for Sauce Connect and IPsec VPN, and then the app storage functionality is also native within Sauce. You don't have to kind of go back and forth between the 2 interfaces. Coming up next here on this is support for native frameworks. So Espresso and XUI should be coming any day now, really. The team is working hard on that as we speak. And then some live testing features are still kind of being ported over to Sauce Labs kind of bit by bit with every sprint. For example, virtual USB, I believe, if not available now, is the next one on the list. So you'll start to see some of those features start to populate more and more within the native Sauce Labs platform. And what's great about this is that our team has done a great amount of foundational work to help kind of set the groundwork for how we integrate future products into Sauce Labs. And so you'll start to see even more functionality start to live natively within your Sauce Labs account rather than having to manage multiple UIs with different types of test results. And that's a good kind of segue into the kind of the next on the list in terms of unifying quality signals for us, and that's our visual testing tool. Again, about a year and a half ago, we acquired another company based out of Canada called Screener, and they specialize in visual testing. And so right now, while it's still a separate product, they're still developing new features and new functionality. And we hope to have that Screener unified into Sauce Labs sometime next year. But that doesn't mean you still can't take advantage of, again, creating more quality signals and eventually unifying them within Sauce Labs. Available today within Sauce Visual, you're now able to do visual component testing. This is a integration with Storybook, which is an open source tool for developing UI components in isolation. And what what visual component testing does on Sauce is has an integration directly into Storybook, so you can test those components without the need for writing any automated test scripts. Your developers can automatically run checks against visual components in isolation. And using a smart hybrid diffing technology within Sauce Visual, we can compare both a screenshot and a DOM snapshot to a new visual test to essentially create a baseline that allows you to quickly kind of highlight any sort of visual regressions that may occur, and you can see those two perspectives and exactly see what those changes are in real time. Again, without the need for having to write any additional tests. So that's currently available today with Sauce. What's coming up next and is super exciting is kind of the next stage in the testing pipeline, so to speak, while Component really speaks to those developers. Visual end-to-end is a very traditional QA kind of activity that we currently support in a closed beta, but will be launching for general availability early next year. This is the ability to integrate visual checks into your existing WebDriver tests to perform automated visual testing at the same time you're doing functional tests across all the different browsers, all the different screen resolutions, et cetera. So using Selenium or WebDriver IO, again, tests you already have written, you can integrate visual checks as well when you're running those end-to-end regression tests. So again, that's in a closed beta with a small subset of customers, going really well so far. You should expect to see that announcement drop early next year. And then finally, insights. How are we going to use our data to help our customers test better? Those of you who've used our insights tool hopefully can see how we meaningfully aggregate data for you to help understand, what's going well in testing and where you need to optimize. Our newest feature that we released earlier this year, failure analysis, is a really great step forward in being more actionable with that data. What failure analysis is it was kind of the culmination of a research project that our data science team did around our continuous testing benchmark. We found that there was a large number of our customers who, I think it was like 80%, 75% had a pass rate of lower than 90%. And that's just unacceptable for us. We want to understand where those failures are coming from. And so they analyzed a subset of our customers' tests and found that a large majority of those tests were all failing for similar or the exact same reasons. And so using that kind of algorithm, that machine learning algorithm that our data science team developed while doing that research, they built this failure analysis feature. And so what failure analysis does is it's a dashboard within our Insights tab that uses that algorithm to not only identify the tests experiencing failures, but it also aggregates them based on the test name and then starts to analyze and understand why, and kind of make a guess of why those tests are failing, and kind of bucketing them out or segmenting them out based on those reasons, which we call failure patterns. And then we take those failure patterns, those group of failure patterns, and we rank and prioritize them based on which one has the most pervasive impact. So kind of putting that into the schematic on the right, say I have 100,000 tests that run on any given day, for example. Out of those tests, a quarter of them, 25% or 25,000, fail. What failure analysis will do is look at those 25,000 failures and start to look for commonalities with the reason why they failed by analyzing the Selenium commands or the Appium commands. And then they'll start bucketing them out into these common failure patterns, which are the FPs there in the pie chart at the bottom. And so the representation here shows that of those 25,000 failures, half of them, so 12,500. So you can tell I'm a marketing person, math, I got to think on math. Fail. All those tests, half of them fail for the same exact reason. And so as a QA professional or as a developer, I can go in and see that, how pervasive that single failure pattern is, and know if I can make a single change across all of those tests, then now all of a sudden my pass rate is going to dramatically increase, and I'll further optimize my test suite. Again, you can kind of guess how using this data really helps resolve common issues more quickly, drastically improves pass rates, and really can just accelerate the release velocity for your organization. So failure analysis is currently in a beta as well. If you would like access to this, you need to be running your tests and send the pass-fail data to Sauce Labs so we can analyze those commands or those logs. Please speak to your account manager, your customer success manager. They can get you set up with failure analysis very easily. It really was a pleasure presenting all this to you guys. Thanks very much.